So between this 5 volt and ground, we'll keep a LED, keep a LED, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we had one question. What is the need for multiple battery input points? Okay, so USB type B connector, okay, it's already answered. Only one pin. Why do they have USB jack? And okay, so the main purpose of USB jack is not to power the Arduino. It's mainly for programming the Arduino. You can. That's why USB connector is there. AC input jack is there because you can easily power. DC wall adapters are easily available. That's why. It's good to have more options than not when okay. So here I have an Arduino. If you guys know the link, you can. So I have Arduino here. Let's take an LED. The bigger link solder is negative. So I'll connect negative to the ground. I kept an resistor to avoid high current. That's why you can. It's okay if you don't connect capacitor. Okay. I hope you can see the longer leg of LED is connected to 5 volt of Arduino, and the shorter leg through resistor is connected to ground. So if I were to make this circuit, it will look something like this. We have a battery source from positive. We have LED. From LED, my drawing is not that good. So we have a resistor, hopefully 220 ohm. Let's see. It's a 1K, I guess. Doesn't make any difference. Okay, so this is a 1K resistor, and we have a LED here. Okay, so and this one is the 5 volt. What will happen? The LED will. You can start simulation, and you can see the LED is glowing. If you stop, LED won't glow. Okay, any doubts in this? We don't need programming for this because 5 volt will always give 5 volt and the ground will always be ground. So we don't need to program our board for this. And here I am powering Arduino using USB pin, but as mentioned, you can power it from DC jack or by connecting a 9 volt battery in VIN. Okay, any doubts in this? Okay, let's move ahead. It's good to have more options than not. Okay, so let's get back to Arduino ID, and you can see a window here. Arduino ID looks like this. Let me show you an Arduino ID. So if you have installed Arduino ID, open it up. If not, you can just see here. So the main parts in which the Arduino ID is divided are two. The one is setup and the other one is loop. So both of them are functions, and they are void functions, which means they can return something, or it's okay if you don't return anything. So what does these two, setup and loop, means is whatever you write inside setup will run only once, and whatever you write in the loop, it will run again and again and again. So how does this whole thing works is, when you power your Arduino, whatever written in the setup will run once, and after that, whatever you have written in loop will run again and again and again until you restart Arduino or power off Arduino and again power it on. So setup will run only once, and it will run when the Arduino is started or resetted. The loop will run again and again and again. These two functions you need to have in your Arduino code, otherwise it will give you an error. Okay. So here I have an Arduino IDE. I have already downloaded it, so it's easy. And you see, when I start Arduino IDE, by default it will give me two void setups and void loop function. Okay, we have a question, what does setup do again? So whenever you power your Arduino or you start Arduino, the setup program will run once. The setup will run and then the loop will run. I hope it clears your doubt. The setup will run only once, and at the beginning of the program, when you start your Arduino, the setup will run, and loop will run again and again and again until you switch the power off or you restart your Arduino. Okay, as we move ahead, I'll write something in the setup, and then you will know how it will work. Okay. Okay, so I hope setup and loop is clear for everyone. So there are some other things which you need to know about Arduino IDE. So the pin mode. The very first thing is pin mode. As I have mentioned, that Arduino I/O pins, which we have seen here, digital I/O pins and analog I/O pins. They both are I/O pins, which means they can act as input as well as output pin. So say I need to use this pin number 7. So if I want to use pin number 7 as output, I need to declare that the pin 7 is an output pin. So to do that, we use pin mode. What this pin mode function will do is, pin mode function will declare that pin is as an output pin or as an input pin. So as an example, I have written pin mode in the brackets 9, output. What this function will do is, this function will declare pin number 9 as output pin. I hope this is clear. Let's write an example. So I want note one thing, the software which runs Arduino IDE is combination of C and C#, so it is cap sensitive. So if the thing is in small, it will read in small. If it's in the capital, it will read in capital. So in pin mode, only M is capital, and you need to write it just like this, otherwise it won't work. So if I write pin mode, it won't recognize. I need to do M capital. Okay, pin mode, pin number 9. Same thing with the output. All the letters of output are in capital. If you don't write it in capital, it won't recognize. So, and another thing, after every function, after every declaration, you need to have a semicolon. If there is no semicolon, it will show you an error. Okay. People who know C, C++, it will be a little bit easier for you because it's very similar to that. I'm rushing things because we don't have much time. We are already half an hour. So that's why if you have any doubts, you can write them on the chat or just ask them. Okay. So what this will do is, I have written pin mode 9 output in the setup, which means whenever I run my Arduino will know that the pin number 9 is set as an output pin. So for the rest of the code, I don't need to declare this. Pin number 9 will stay as an output pin unless I write otherwise. Okay. So, and another thing is, write pin mode in setup. Don't write it in the loop. because if you write it in the loop, it will come again and again and again. So don't need to do that. It will run again and again and again. So just write your pin modes in setup. So I have written pin mode 9, output in setup, which means if I start my Arduino will set pin number 9 as output and move ahead. Okay, the next command. Any doubts in pin mode? Okay. The next command, we have digital write / digital read. What this will do is, if we have set our pin as an output pin, we can write that pin as a high or as low. Okay. So here I set my pin number 9 as an output pin. If I want to, now is a very real time to explain analog and digital. So I hope you all know the difference between analog and digital. If you don't, let me clear it out for you. So analog digital is only 1 and 2. So if the signal is digital, it's only 1 and 0. That's it, 1 and 0. 1 means high and the 0 means low. High means there is some voltage there, and low means there is no voltage or connected to ground. Okay. In other way, analog is in the range, say from 0 to 256. So analog is from 0 to 256 and in between anything. So analog means it can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 256 or above 256 as well. But if it's in the digital form, it can only be 1 and 0. It cannot be anything else. So here we have digital write and digital read. These functions are only for digital pins. So I have set my pin number 9 as an output. Pin number 9 is by default digital pin. So I'm talking about this pin. This pin 9, pin number 9. So I have set my pin number 9 as a digital as an output pin, and if I want to set this pin as high, you just need to write digital write. Again, W is capital 9, high. Again, high is all caps. What this will do is it will set pin number 9 as output, and after that it will set pin number 9 as high. High means there will be some voltage there, and after that there is nothing else to run. Loop is empty, so it won't execute anything. Okay, so there are multiple ways you can declare this. You can write high, or you can just write 1. If you write 1, it will take it as high. Other way, if you don't want to make it high, you want to make it low, just write low. Again, low is in all caps, or you can just write 0. Okay. Okay. We have a question. Can you repeat what high means? Okay. High means positive voltage. Okay. In previous cases, I drew a circuit diagram. I hope you guys know basic circuit diagrams. So we had an LED here, a resistor, and it comes back. So this port, the bigger part of the battery, this is a 5-volt battery. The upper part is known as high or 1. High. The lower part is either 0 or low. If the voltage is present there, it will take it as high. And if voltage is not present there, we call it low. Okay. You can take 1 and 0. 1 means something is present. 0 means there is nothing, or nothing is present. I hope it clears your doubt. Okay. Thanks, Aswini, for the description. Okay. So you can write high or 1, you can write 0 or low. Okay, for our purpose, let's put it as high. Okay, Some other thing about Arduino IDE, there are some buttons up here. You can see there are 5 buttons up there. The first button is verify. Using this button, you can compare your code and see if there is any mistakes or is there any bugs in your code. Next to the compile, we have upload. Using this button, you can upload your sketch to Arduino. I have not connected any Arduino right now with my laptop, so I won't be able to upload the code. But if you have connected Arduino with your laptop, it will detect it, and after that you can upload code using this button. After that, we have common buttons. New will open new window, new sketch. Open, if you want to open some previous sketches, you can do that. Save will save this code. Okay, so let's compile. So down here we have a compilation window. So it says done compiling, which means there are no errors or bugs there. Let's say I forgot a semicolon here. So see, it will throw me an error in the next line because this line is not completed yet, so it won't go ahead. Okay. So let's say I forgot an H, or I've written H in small caps. So it will say hi, there is no thing as hi. Okay. Everything clear? Okay. When we go to NLO, we'll see what those things are. And right now we are only staying in digital, so that's why we are only concerned with ones and zeros. So okay, let's run this code in our simulation and see what it will do. So here I have an Arduino, and I don't want to connect with 5 volt. Now I can connect this with my pin number 9, and as I have given pin number 9 as high, the LED will glow. You can write your code here, you can paste your code here, and you can start simulation. Okay, you can see the LED is glowing. If I stop simulation, the LED won't glow. If I turn it on, the LED will glow because I set pin number 9 as high. But before setting pin number 9 as high, I need to declare pin number 9 as an output pin. Then only it will run. So if I connect it with, say, pin number 8 instead of 9, if I connect it with 8, now I have not given anything at pin number 8, so it might give me high or it might give me low. So you can see the LED is not glowing because I have not given anything at pin number 8. So if I change here from 9 to 8, pin number 9 will be set as a output pin and as a high pin. So now you can see the LED is glowing. Is it possible to program the Arduino with Python? No, it's not possible. You can only program Arduino using Arduino IDE only. Can someone share this link with me? Okay, which link are you talking about, Arjun? The simulator link. Of course. Let's share it in the chat. Okay. I hope digital write is clear to everyone. And can we run Arduino without code after dumping code into it with no period? Yes. Yes, you can do it. Once you upload your code into Arduino, you don't need any system. You don't need your PC. You don't need your computer or anything. You just need to power your Arduino. You need to upload code only once. Once you have uploaded the code, you can just power your Arduino and the code will run itself. And only the code which you have done will run. And at a time, you can only upload one code into Arduino. Okay, that's a very good question. The next, we'll move ahead. I hope digital write is clear to everyone. And if you have doubt, you can ask us. Okay, so after digital write, we have digital read. It's opposite to digital write. So suppose I have declared pin number 9 as an input. Now I'll be able to read whatever there is on pin number 9. So okay, pin number 9 is declared as an input. So now I only need to pass digital read in the brackets 9. What this will do is it will read from pin number 9 and it will read only 1 and 0. If pin number 9, suppose you have connected an external sensor or something to pin number 9, say switch, you have connected and switch to pin number 9. If the switch is on, it will give me on. If the switch is off, it will give me off or 0. As we can only pass 1 and 0 to the digital pin, we can only read 1 and 0 from the digital pins. So you can read the state of pin number 9 and you can save it to some variable, say A equal to digital read pin number 9. It will give me an error because I have not declared A as anything. As we move ahead, we'll see variables, and in that it will be clear to you. Okay, so right now you only need to know what digital read is. Digital read is to read from the pin. If you have set your pin as an input, from that pin you can read your data. That pin can be connected to say some external sensors like IR sensor or ultrasonic sensor. So let me see if I can do that here. Okay, so we have a push button. I guess this will work. So we don't need an LED now. Okay, so the one pin of push button is connected to 5 volts and the other pin is connected to pin number 9. Okay, is this clear? Okay, so whenever I press the push button, this 5 volt and pin number 9 will be connected. So I can declare pin number 9 as input pin and read this. Read what is the status of pin number 9. If it's high, I can tell that the push button has been pressed. If it's low, I can tell the push button has not been pressed. Is this clear? I think it will be a little bit complicated for you now, but as we move ahead, it will get clear to you. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so digital write and digital read for digital pins. Let's move ahead to the analog write and analog read. Same as digital write, digital read, but for analog pins. So let's say you want to connect something at your digital analog pins, which are A0 to A5. As I told you, they are analog pins, which means you can do anything between 0 to 256 or 0 to 1025. If your Arduino supports 8-bit register, you can pass from 0 to 1025 values in between, any values from here. Okay, let's see what the code will look like for it. So first of all, I need to set that pin as an input or output pin. So declare analog pins as input pin or output pin. You need to address them as A0 or A1 or A2 or A3. So let's say I want to put A0 as an output pin. I can just write pin mode A0 output. So what it will do is it will set analog pin A0 as an output pin. So, and let's say I want to write something there. You can only write in analog. So instead of analog read, it's analog write. A0, same as digital write, and here you can pass any values. As you can only pass 0 and 1 for digital write, here you can write anything. You can also write 0, it will give you low, or you can write 1025, it will give you high. The maximum voltage 1025 will give you 5 volt, and 0 will give you 0 volts, 0 volt. And in between also you can write 256, or you can write 500. 500 will give you half of the voltage, that's around 2.5 volt. So let's say I want to set pin number N0 as high, so 1025. So okay, what this program will do, it will set in N0 as output, and it will set it pin A0 as the maximum voltage, that's 1025. That's a 5 volt. Let's run this code. The code. Okay, so pin mode A0 output, and A0 is 1025. Let's first connect LED with A0. So the smaller one ground and the bigger one to A0. I hope this is visible to you. Yes. Okay, so let's run. It will give me an error because I have not connected a resistor with it, but it's okay, it's a simulation. So you can see the LED is bright. Now let's change here to 0. You can see LED is not turning on because we have given 0. If I want LED to turn only, like I don't want it too bright, so I can pass 500, and you can see it's not visible in simulation, but in reality the LED will glow with half of the luminance. So yeah, it won't glow completely, so it will glow half the way. Okay, I hope this is clear. Moving on, don't forget to stop simulation because it will take most of your CPU and GPU. So don't forget to stop simulation. Just like we have done analog write, we can do analog read. Again, R is capital. Analog read A0. What this will do is it will read from analog pin, and whatever value that that pin is having, it will give it as an output. Again, you can save this as A equal to analog read A0. So this function will return some value. That value will be in between 0 and 105. Is if I connect anode with the ground pin, right now there is nothing at the anode because anode is connected with the ground. So if I pass this program, the A will be set as 0 because anode is connected with ground. But if I connect anode with 5 volt, this program will give me 1025 as an output because anode is connected to high or 5 volts. If there's something in between, it will give me something in between, let's say 200 or 250. Okay, so that's analog read. I hope these 4 things are clear to you. As we move ahead, it will get clearer. But for now on, general purpose, this much information is enough. And if you have any doubts, you can ask us. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so as I was saying, if any one of you know C, C++, it will be easier for you, because this thing same same in C++ and the same in Arduino IDE. So these are some general things which you need to know before starting any language. So we have data types first of all. So data types, what are these data types? If you want to use any variable in the program, variable means its value can change anytime, anytime as you need. So that variable will be declared. You need to declare a data type for that variable. So let's say I'm setting pin amount as input, and I want to get data from pin node. So I'll write analog read pin node. Okay, so I want to save this data in some sort of variable, say a equal to analog read node. So you can't just do this, you need to declare a. What type of variable a is? There are multiple types of variable: integer, float, long, character, array, boolean, and void. We'll go one by one. Integer is integer, as you know. So to declare variable as integer, you can get integer a. That's it. Why I have written it above setup and above loop? It's because I want a to be global. As it means is I want to use a in setup. I want to use a in loop as well. So if I declare, you can also declare here also integer a. But if you declare integer a in setup, you won't be able to use integer a in the loop. Say you want to use something in the loop, you need to set you need to declare that in global or either in the loop. So instead of doing this, you can just declare a variable above setup anywhere as a matter of case. So what the first line will do is it will declare variable, it will create variable a as an integer. So now you can read data from this pin, and you can set this variable's value as that. And as the value changes, the value of variable will also change. Okay. So integer is integer is only positive and negative values, won't take point values. So if you want to take point values, you can declare variable as float, float, float. And float, after float we have long. If the value is too big, you can declare it as long, same long. After that we have character. Say if you want to read something in character, so that will be, you can also declare variables here itself. Say you need to read some letters or something from your keyboard, so you can declare those variables as character. You need to declare those variables as character. So what this will do is it will read character, it will create a character, a variable a, which is a character type, and assign a value c to it. And as we go ahead in the program, its value can change. Okay. So I hope character type is clear to all. After that we have array. If you have multiple characters or multiple values to it, if you want to create a matrix or an array, you can assign array to it. So it will be something like this. And now a can hold multiple values, say 1, 2, 3. So a will hold 3 values, 1, 2, and 3. So if I want to take, retrieve 1, I'll just pass a bracket 0. It will give me 1. If I write a bracket 1, it will give me 2. And if I write a bracket 3, it will give me 3. So array consists of multiple variables, and you can modify any variable you want. So I hope array is clear. Boolean is again a digital type. It's only BOOL, and if I declare Boolean A, now Boolean can only take two values. Either A can be 1 or A can be 0. A cannot be in between anything. A can only be 0 or A can only be 1. Okay. So Boolean is basically a digital type of variable type, digital variable type. And void means if you declare something as void, it means it can take any value. There are no restriction to variable to take any values. So just like we have declared void setup and void loop, so now A can have any value. It can be an integer, a character, or anything. Okay. So most of the time we'll use integer, maybe float, a character, a boolean. Those are frequently used. Okay. Any doubts until now in data type? Okay. Next we have operators. So these operators are mathematical operators you can use. They are easy. The first one is equal to is used to assign value to data, to integer or to variable. So let's say I have used equal to here. So what equal to will do is equal to will assign value. In this case, equal to will read from in a note and assign that value to variable A, given that you have declared variable A. Okay. The next one is plus. It's plus sign is used to merge two variables, or as an arithmetical operation you can use plus. So if you give 3 plus 5, it will return 8. So let's say A equal to 3 and B equal to 3 and B equal to 4. And if you pass A plus B, C equal to A plus B, and the value of C will be stored as 7. But first you need to declare A, B and C as variables. Okay. So A, B, C are integers. The value of A is 3, value of B is 4, and I've used plus here. So A plus B will be 7, and the value will be assigned to C. Same way, minus is negative. This is multiply, divide, modulus. Modulus to subtract remainder from the main quotient. After that, after modulus, we have some interesting ones here. So double equal to. Double equal to is used match. I can write A double equal to B. So what if I assign C equal to A double equal to B? So this is itself is one function. So what A double equal to B does is it matches A and B. If A and B are equal, it will assign B as 1. It will pass 1. If they are not equal, it will pass 0. So here A and B are not equal, so it will pass 0. Okay. You can use double equal to if you want to compare two things. If you want to compare two things, you can use double equal to. Same for comparison, it's not equal to. So opposite of double equal, opposite of equal to, we have not equal to. After that, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay. After this, we have some logical operations. Double AND is for using AND. If you want to perform AND operation, first here might not know what AND is in logical terms. but double end means end operation, and the two piping lines are for OR operator. Two piping lines are for OR operator. So let's say, okay, when we move ahead, it will this last two things will be clear to you, and the last one is NOT operator. So NOT operator is something like this. So if I write this, and if suppose say A is 1, A NOT will be 0. So the C will have the value 0. Given that you need to declare A as a boolean type, then only you can use the NOT operator. Okay, moving on, conditional statements. So these are very useful, and using only and only using conditional statements you can write any code in C, C++, Python, Java, MATLAB, any language you can write your code if you really know how to use conditional statements. So basically there are three conditional statements: if else, and if else if else. So we call the last one as nested if. So let's go with the first one. So the first one is if. So how do we use if option? So you write if, then some condition in it, and what to do afterwards. Okay, so let's take a look at this code. In the first line, I have declared three variables, integer A, B, and C. After that, in setup, I have if condition. Okay, so after if, in the bracket you need to give you need to pass a statement. So I can write A double equal to B. So what it will do is, if A is equal to B, it will run this code. If not, it won't run this code. So I can write here C equal to 0. So if A and B are equal, then only the C will assign 0. So here, let's say A equal to 1 and B equal to 2. So if I run this code, the value of C will remain unchanged. Let's set this at 2. So A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, and C is equal to 2. So after that, it will check whether A and B are equal. They are not equal, we know, because B is 2 and A is 1. So this if statement will not be executed. It will go directly to the loop. Okay, so the value of C will remain 2. It won't change to 0. But if I write here B equal to 1, and it will check whether the A and B are equal. Yes, A and B are equal because both of them are 1. It will go inside the parenthesis and it will declare C as 0. So after running this program, the value of C will be 0. Initially it was 2, but it's 0. Okay, so here you can write multiple things also, like A less than B, or A equal to B. Okay, so here you can use OR operator. OR means if any of this is true, it will execute the following statement. So if either A is less than B or A is equal to B, the C will be 0. Okay, so this is too much for you guys now. So we'll just pass A less than B equal to 0. So this is if statement. Any doubts in if statement? Anybody? It's very basic, it's very easy. Once you start coding, you guys will understand. It's very easy to use. Okay, so the next one is if else. We completed if. The next one is if else. Very easy. If A is less than B, do this. If not, do this. Okay, so now if A is less than B, the C will be 0. If not, C will set any value which I write here, say 9. So if I execute this, if A is less than B, the C will be 0. If not, the C will be 9. So it will check statement. If it's true, it will go down. If it's not true, it will directly go to the else. Okay. If you don't need, it's not mandatory to declare else. If you want to, you can declare else, or if you want to, you don't need to declare else. Okay. So the I hope it's clear how does else program works. Okay. After that, we have if, and else. That's a nested if. So if I want to check multiple things, like if A is less than B, do this. Else if check this. If A is greater than B, do this, and else. So if A is less than B, it will assign C to 0. If A is greater than B, it will assign C to 9. If none of them is true, it will go to else. Okay. One thing you need to understand is only one of these will be executed. So if this is true, the else part will not be executed. So if I give C equal to 10, so for okay, so A is 1 and B is 2. So it will start from here. If A is less than B, yes, A is less than B. So it will assign C to 0, and after that it won't execute these two. So it won't execute C equal to 9, it won't execute C equal to 10. So it will execute C equal to 0, and after that it will move ahead to the next line. But if this is not true, it will check for this one, and if this one is not true, it will execute this one. So say A and B are equal to. So if A is less than B, no it's not, it will go to the next line. If A is greater than B, no it's not, it will go to else and it will execute. The value of C will be 10 at the end of this function, at the end of this program. Okay. I hope this is clear to all of you. It will be slightly boring to those who know C or C++ or already done coding. For the fourth year students, for Atulya and all, it's super boring. I know that. Okay, moving on. Okay, conditional statements. Any doubts?
No, bhaiya.
Yes, Ankit. Okay. Moving on. Now, next we have loop. There are two types of loop: for loop and while loop. Let's just see while loop first. Okay, so I can write while statement or condition which needs to check while A is less than B. Execute this. So what this command will do is it will execute the following statements until and unless the A is less than B. Okay, so you can write here A equal to A plus 1. So let's say A is 1 and B is 10. So it will start from here. It will check if A is less than B. Yes, A is less than B. It will execute this. Next value of A will be 2. It will again check if A is less than B. Yes, 2 is less than 0. 2 is less than 10. It will again execute this command. So now the value of A will be 3. Again check, and when the value of A is 10, it will check 10 is not less than 10, so it won't execute, and it will move it to the next part. Okay. The one thing you need to make sure is that this thing cannot be infinite loop. This thing cannot be true always. So if I run this program, this part will run for infinite time. Okay. You won't be able to get out of this part because this condition will be true always. Infinite loops are used in some cases, but it's better to avoid them. Okay, so this condition is always true. So this while loop will run for infinite time. Okay. moving on to the next part. I hope while loop is clear to everyone. Okay. For loop, for loop same as while loop. You need to give for, let's say, integer I equal to 0, I plus I less than 10, I plus. Okay. So what this function will do is, we have declared integer I as 0. This loop will run until the I is less than 10, and after every repetition, the value of I will increase by 1. Okay, so after every repetition, the value of I will increase by 1. So the first when we execute this the for loop, the value of I will be 0. After that, the value of I will be 1. After that, value of I will be 2 until it reaches 10. As soon as it reaches 10, the function will come out of for loop. Okay. Can anyone tell the basic difference between for loop and while loop? Okay, so the for loop, when we declare for loop, we know exactly how many times I want to run this loop. So right now, looking at the for loop, I can tell it will run for 10 times. Right? I can tell it will run for 10 times. But while loop, we don't know how many times it will run. The while loop depends on the variables. While loop can run for 10 times or 20 times or 30 times. But for loop, we know if I give here 10, I know this loop will run for 20 times. Okay. Okay, an important thing, just a side note. Okay, so for in while loop, clear. Anything for in while loop?
No, yeah.
Okay, so the next thing, comments. If you want to comment something, you can use slash to double slashes back to back. Like here, this line is in comments. So because it starts with double slash, anything in the comment won't be executed. If you can write anything here. Okay, you can write anything here, but it won't be executed because it's as an comment. Okay. Delay. Another wonderful function in Arduino is delay. What delay does is, if I give delay here, delay function stops your board for the time which you give here. So you need to give time in milliseconds. So if I give delay 1000, it will stay in this function for 1 second, for 1 second or for 1000 milliseconds. Okay. So so delay, very easy, as the name suggests, it delays. So if you pass delay 1000, your board will do nothing for 1 second. Okay, I hope it's clear. And if I give delay 10,000, the board won't do the next thing. If I write here a equal to 5, and if I write here a equal to 4, so the value it will set the value of a for 4. Then for 10 seconds it won't do anything. The board won't do anything, and after 10 seconds it will set value of a as 5. Okay. You can also give like delay 500. So the board won't do anything for half a second. Okay. delay clear to everybody? If yes,
Yes.
sorry? Okay. Okay, so I hope up till now everything is clear to everybody. So, okay, let's write a very simple program and let's see what we can do. Let's set pin mode. I want to use pin number 9, so I'll set pin number 9 as output. And let's go to the loop. Up till now we were only using setup, we were not using loop, so let's go to loop and let's set this pin number 9 as high. So pin number 9 is digital pin. You write pin number 9 high. Okay, after then I want to delay for let's say 1 second. Let's make it 2. Okay, and after that let's make pin number 9 low and let's wait for 2 seconds again. Okay, so let's see what this program will do. As you power your Arduino, it will go to the void setup. It will set the pin mode 9 as output pin. After then it will come to the loop. It will set pin number 9 as high. Then it will wait for 2 seconds. Then it will set pin number 9 as low. Then it will wait for 2 seconds. And after it execute these commands, it will again come to the loop and it again set pin number 9 as high. So until you power off your board or the power is cut or you reset your Arduino board, it will run again and again and again. So it will set high, wait 2 seconds, low, wait 2 seconds, again high, wait 2 seconds, low, wait 2 seconds, again high. Clear? Let's run this program. Okay, so I need to connect an LED to pin 9 to see if this thing works. Let's take an LED, the bigger pin to pin number 9 and the smaller pin to ground. Okay, again I'm not using resistor. Let's not contain it. Okay, ready? If we start simulation, you can see pin number 9 is high for 1 second and low for 1 second. See, it's blinking. Is this clear or anyone is having any doubt? If you have doubt, you can put it in chat. So it's setting pin number 9 as high, waiting for 1 second, setting pin number 9 as low, and then again waiting for 1 second. Okay, I can, if we change here to pin number 8, I need to change pin number 8 and then I can connect this one to pin number 8. Okay, clear? Any doubt in this? Okay, let's move ahead. Any other ideas for writing program from what you have learned up till now? Anything we can do? Okay, let's use 2 LEDs. I want one LED at pin number 9. I want another LED at let's say pin number 7 or 6. Okay, and when this LED is high, I want to set another the other LED to low. So other LED is pin number 6. and when this one is high, and when this one is low, let's set other LED. Okay, so let's check how this will run. Let's connect another LED first. Change color to green. Positive to pin number 6, negative to ground. Okay, all these three grounds are equal. You can use either of the grounds. Okay. So if I start simulation, when LED is on, green is off. When green is on, the red is off. Okay. Green is on for 1 second. Now red is on for 1 second. It's fluctuating sometimes. It's because of this simulation thing. If you use original Arduino, like hardware Arduino, it will be clear. Or let's check our code. And it's fine. So, okay. Any doubts in this code? Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so we saw data types, operators, conditional statements, loop, commands, and delay. And okay, the next thing, very good thing that Arduino has is serial communication. You can communicate your Arduino and computer or any other device which have serial communication. Okay, this serial communication happens at pin number 0 and pin number 1. Those pins are these two. Pin number 0 and pin number 1, D0 and D1. You see TX and RX written there. RX means receiver and TX means transmitter. So the pin number 0 receives serial communication and pin number 1 transmits serial communication. Another great thing is if you want to serially communicate with your Arduino, you can use this button here. See, you can see it says serial monitor. Okay, right now I have not connected any Arduino with my laptop, so that's why it's saying no Arduino found. Okay. And there are several commands which you can use. First of all, we need to declare, we need to include serial library. You can use this command as include serial.h at the beginning to recall serial library. So I guess you guys don't know what library is. So library is external written code that you can use. So to use serial communication, you need to call this library, and you can, okay, let's get rid of all these things. Okay, so you can go to Sketch, include library, and all these libraries are already there in Arduino. You can use any one of them. So we need serial library for serial communication. So it's not there, but you can just write serial.h. as include serial.h. Okay, is this clear? Another good thing about Arduino is there are example codes which you can see. You can go to file examples, and you can see all these example codes. So let's say I want to see for serial communication. So you can use this communication. Okay. Okay. If you are using a serial communication with your laptop or from digital pin 0 and 1, you don't need to recall this library. It by default recalls this library, so you don't need to do that. You can directly go to the next command, which is serial.begin 9600. Let's see what this command will do. 9600. Okay, S is capital. Okay, what this command do is when executed, this command will allow serial communication at pin number 0 and 1 with the baud rate of 9600, which means 9600 bits per second. Okay, this is frequency of communication. You can use multiple frequencies, but here I have used 9600 for because it's easy and most of the devices use 9600 baud rate. Okay, so this is serial.begin will begin serial communication. Okay, the next thing we have serial.println. So if you want to print something, you can use this program serial.println, and in double inverted comma or single inverted comma you can write anything. Whatever you write inside serial.println, it will be printed via serial communication. Okay, let's see a program and it will be more clear to you guys. So we don't have serial communication port here. Let's write one here. Okay. So I have started my serial communication with a baud rate of 9600. And I want to print, let's say, A. And I'm delaying for, let's say, 1 second. Okay, so what this program will do, it will start the serial communication, and after that it will print A in that serial communication, stops for 1 second, again print A, again stop for 1 second, again print A. Okay, to see how this function will do, let's we need Arduino, so let's see how it works. Okay, let's hope you guys can see. I have Arduino here. And I have cable using which I can connect my Arduino to my laptop. So at the serial port here, the silver, you can connect USB type B cable like this. Okay, the other one is type A cable, which goes to your computer. Let's if there are any bugs in our code. No, there are no bugs, not compiling. Okay, so if you want to check whether your laptop has detected the Arduino or not, so what you can do is tools, port, and okay, you can see it has already detected that Arduino is connected. Okay, for the Windows user, it will be like port 15 or port 13 or port 8. Okay, so I have connected my Arduino, I have written my code, and let's upload. So it's uploading and done uploaded, which means the code is uploaded to my Arduino. You can start serial monitor now, and you can see it's printing A every 1 second. Okay, clear to everyone? My Arduino is communicating with my laptop and it's sending A every 1 second. Okay, let's advance this thing a little bit. Let's say I declare integer A is equal to 0 and I want to print the value of integer, and I want to increase value of that integer by 1 every 1 second. So okay, the code is uploaded, and if I start serial monitor now, see it's 0, now 1, 2, every 1 second it's increasing its value by the factor of 1, and it's printing that value, it's sending that value to my laptop, and from my laptop using this serial monitor I can see what value it's sending. Clear? Okay, so what else can we do here? Okay, just like serial. Okay, one more thing. You can see every time after printing new value, it goes to the second line. 1, 2, 3, it's in the next line. Why this? Because we have used serial.println. If I remove println part, now it won't go to the next line. It will continue in the same line. Okay, the baud rate which I was telling you guys, you can change your baud rate from here. You can see it's at the 9600 baud rate. Make sure your serial monitor is at same baud rate as Arduino. Your Arduino is currently at 9600 baud rate because we have declared so in here. Okay, and my serial monitor is at 9600 baud rate because I selected here. You can use all these baud rates. Okay, the 9600 one is most used one. Okay, and every time you open your serial monitor, your Arduino will reset. So I open the serial monitor and my Arduino will reset again to 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the same way you can also read from your serial monitor. Let's for the function to do that is serial.read. Don't need to pass anything in the parentheses, and let's print whatever written whatever you read from serial monitor. Let's assign it to A. Increase its value by 10 and again print it back in the serial monitor. Okay, so what this function will do, it will begin serial communication at the baud rate of 9600. It will read from serial monitor, which means whatever I type from my keyboard in my laptop, it will read, increase it by the factor of 10, and again give it back to me, and wait for 10 seconds. We don't need to use this now. Okay, any doubt in this program? Okay, let's see. Don't forget semicolons. Okay, uploaded. Why it's giving me none is because I have not given here anything. So if I give 1, you can see it gives me 10, but it goes again continuously. So to avoid that, you can do if serial dot available. Okay, so what this function will do, it will check if I'm writing something or not. If I'm writing something, then only it will execute this command. Okay. So see, I'm not getting any values now because I'm not writing anything here. Okay, let's write one, and you can either press send here or you can just give enter. Okay, so you see it's giving me 59 and 20. It's not giving me 10. Anybody knows why? Okay, so see, the thing is, if I pass here 20 and if I give enter, it won't take it as 20. It will take its ASCII value. So if I write A, again it's giving me something. Okay, so it's taking its ASCII value. So what I need to do is, I need to just declare here as character. This will explain more. Okay, let's see. I'm passing 1, but it's taking 49 and 10. If I pass 2, it's taking 50 and 10. If I pass 3, it's taking 51 and 10. So now I know the offset is by 58. So what I need to do is A equal to A minus 48. 48 is ASCII values. That's why. And now let's increase A by factor of 10. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's increasing it by 1, and again it's giving me some garbage values. We can get rid of this garbage values, but you see, if I give 1, it's giving me 11, which means 1 plus 10, that's 11. Okay, to get rid of this garbage value, just give some delay. I hope the garbage value will go away. Okay. It's still there. It's okay. Okay, I hope serial communication is clear to everyone. Any doubt in serial communication in serial.available or serial.read or serial.println? Any doubt up till now? Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, so that's the last thing we are going to see today, serial communications, and with this we are completing today's session. And if you like today's session, you can join our next session. Links for that and timing and all will be posted on our website, I hope. Atulya.
Yes, Bhaiya, we will post there.
Okay,
in our social media.
So the next session will be advanced part of it. Will continue from here. From serial communication, will continue. We'll see some other sensors which we can connect to our Arduino. We'll go into some details. It will be a great for second year and third year. It does not mean the first year cannot attend it. Okay. So if you like today's session, or if you have any doubt or any query, you can contact me any one of these. And yeah, okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bhaiya. In spite of having a busy schedule ahead, Then thanks for creating a space in your timetable and spending time with us. And I hope you enjoyed the session. And then hope to see you guys again and see you also, Bhaiya, in the coming sessions.
Sure.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
I'll be here for 5 minutes. If any of you guys have any doubts, 5 minutes will close the session.
Bhaiya, I have a doubt.
Yes.
So can you use the Arduino to control a transistor?
Yes, definitely. You can use Arduino to control transistor. You can give let me give you an example. We do have transistor here at Tinkercad. Let's check.
Juniors, guys, make sure to fill the feedback form which is there in the chat box before you leave the meeting.
Okay, so see our transistor here, it's a NPN transistor. Let's assume it's BC547 and I'm connecting a baseline with pin number 9. So whenever I give pin number 9 is high, the current will flow from collector to emitter. I can connect an LED. I guess you got idea, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, in my holidays, okay, like I think a month or something before, so I was trying to make like a self-driving car. So so I wanted to use an RC car, but then all the solutions online use a Bluetooth module to control the RC car.
Yes, definitely.
So,
HC05.
So what I thought was, instead of like putting a Bluetooth module inside an Arduino and then implanting it inside the car, I thought I could like open a remote control and then it was just a digital switch, mechanical switch inside that.
Yes.
So I thought you could use a transistor, to control the thing as a switching mechanism. That way I can like use high-tech interface.
Definitely, you can use.
So there's no.
Yeah, definitely you can use a transistor. You can receive signal your remote car radio, and the received signal you can amplify it or use it as a switch. Your NPN transistor.
Okay. I wanted to ask that only because I have only a few transistors left. So
you can use BC547. But if you really want to amplify something or a good switch, you can use TIP122. It is Darlington pair inside, so it's a very good transistor.
Okay, it won't by any chance damage the Arduino, right?
No. Okay. The reverse current is strictly prohibited inside Arduino, so no reverse current will come inside Arduino, and it won't damage your transistor as well.
Okay, Bhaiya. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Reminder for juniors, please don't forget to fill the form which is about to come in the chat box, the feedback form. Yeah, thank you.
Bhaiya?
Yes?
Can we connect multiple Arduinos?
Yes.
If you want an extended circuit?
No, you don't need any extended circuit. You can take two Arduinos and connect their this serial communication with each other. So let's say if I have another Arduino and I want to use both of these Arduino because by some reason the pins are not sufficient, connect this RX to this TX and this RX to this TX. Okay, so now using serial communication, you can communicate between these two Arduino. These guys, translator is connected to the receiver of this, and his transmitter is connected to receiver of this. Okay, so same program you can use this program. So whatever I write here, serial.println A, it will transmit from here to here.
Okay.
Yeah, and ground should also be common.
Yeah. If you are using multiple Arduinos, make sure two grounds are common. You can power both of them using different circuits, but make sure the grounds are connected. then only you will have true values of any sensors or anything that you have connected.
This will work for any boards, right? Like you took two UNO boards. Can I connect a UNO board and micro board like that?
Yes, yeah, you can. If it supports serial communication, you can connect them. Another thing is, you see these two pins. It says SCA and SDA. These are serial clock and serial data. If you connect serial clock with the serial clock pin of the other board, it can be UNO or any other microcontroller. Both of their clock will sync with each other. And using this serial data port, you can read and receive data to and from one another. You just need to make sure that both have separate.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bhaiya.
Okay.
Bro, one more doubt. 1 second.
Yes?
Like, what do you think the flaws of Arduino? Like, we all learn the basics, but what are the flaws of Arduino?
Flows or Arduino. Okay. I don't know how I forget this, but I usually mention this in my slides. The flow of Arduino, biggest advantage of Arduino is it will get through your whole college life. You can make your final year projects using Arduino easily, but again, that's its main flaws. Outside college, nobody wants to use Arduino.
Yeah,
Outside
Raspberry
college.
Pi will be used.
Raspberry Pi also, no one wants to use Raspberry Pi. The thing is, if you go to industries, Arduino is too costly. Arduino costs around 250 to 200 bucks, but in 100 or 150 bucks, you can make the whole circuit. Or you mainly need to do one task, and for one task, you don't need the whole microcontroller. So outside your university, it's rarely used in everyday life.
Like,
It is close.
like using a microcontroller, no? I was thinking, like, can microcontrollers be the, what do you call, the motherboard of laptops? Like, there are Raspberry Pis, like with the Wi-Fi module. If you
Yes.
have a microcontroller with some storage,
Yes.
storage and with the RAM, you can make your own laptop, right?
No, that's the thing. If you have a microcontroller, you cannot make a computer out of it. But if you have a microprocessor, you can make a computer out of it. Say you have Raspberry Pi, right? So Raspberry Pi is in itself a computer. It does not require. So I wanted to program my Arduino, right? For that, I need to connect my Arduino to my laptop. Raspberry Pi, you do not need to do that. You want to code your Raspberry Pi, all you need to do is connect some Bluetooth keyboard or mouse to your Raspberry Pi, connect some display, and you are good to go. You don't need any other processor or anything. So that's the power of processor. It has its own OS. So I hope it clears your doubt.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me. Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
I made a project, but at the end I found out कि जो motors connect here,
Yes.
they were rotating in different directions. So how could I? Because I use L293D
Okay.
and a motor driver for Arduino. But
Okay.
at last I found out they are not rotating in the same direction. So how can I find it out before making the project?
Okay, see, the thing is, if you're using L293D, I guess it's a motor driver. So you need two pins to control one motor. So if you are using one and two pin, how do I put this? I0 and I1 pin of L293D. If you give I0 as 1 and I2 as 0, the motor will rotate in forward direction. If you give I2 as 1 and I1 as 0, the motor will rotate in opposite direction. But again, just to be sure, run your program if the motor is rotating anti-clockwise, and if you want to rotate it clockwise, just change the polarity of motor. That's the easiest way.
Bhaiya?
Yes.
Yeah, so I recently wanted to do a project. I'm almost
Okay.
done with it. but I used an ultrasonic sensor. It's a water level alerting system, and I have a doubt that will the ultrasonic sensor sense the water because it's kind of different, right?
I have never worked with water and ultrasonic sensor, but I don't think it will sense the water, because for ultrasonic, it uses sound. So for ultrasonic to work, the sound has to come back, reflect and come back from an object. So if you use water, most of the sound will go past the water. So I don't think it will work properly. To avoid that, what you can do is put some reflective surface or something floating on your surface of water. So say you have a mirror, or say you have a cardboard box or something.
The thing is, I'm actually trying to put it in my overhead tank so that it prevents overflowing. So that was the plan actually.
Okay. So for it to work, I guess it will work fine. It won't give you much trouble, but sometimes it will give you garbage values. So you can try and check. Trial is the best way to do this. But the best way to do this is float something on the surface of water. So as the water level rises, the floating object will come up. And as the water level goes down, the floating object will go down. And the floating object will easily reflect sound. So if the sound reflects from some hard surface, some cardboard box or something, the ultrasonic sensor will sense it easily.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Can you share your experience of VA and then convey to first year students?
Okay, you are a first year student in VA. That takes me 5 to 6 years back. So it's great experience. If you decided to join VIT, congratulations. It's great. You will have a great experience for next 2 years if you are in BTech. And I say go for it. Until and unless you get into some IITs or NITs, just go for it.
I'm already second now. I just completed first year.
Okay. First year. Yeah, the experience was great, and I started learning in my first years. So that's why I promote this. I say learn this now, it will help you later. And for computer science, hardware part won't be that much, but again you guys will have IoT and some subjects like that. For that you need help from let's say easy student. So if you know the basics, you can do it yourself. And other than that, my experience was awesome for first year. Try to get into some clubs and chapters, because after second year no one will recruit you. And the best thing about clubs and chapters, you guys will make a whole new family.
Thanks, Bhaiya. Thanks, Bhaiya.
Okay.
भैया अपना कैमरा ऑन कर लीजिए अब।
आप लोग भी कर लो अपना। अच्छा, मैं प्रेजेंटेशन बंद कर देता हूँ।
आप प्रेजेंटेशन बंद कर दीजिए। मेरा चश्मा में कैसे?
भैया, can we leave?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. For that, you need to ask your seniors.
Those who have any doubt, they can leave.
क्या?
Those who don't have doubt can leave.
Thank you.
अश्विनी को चश्मा कब से आ गया?
अरे चश्मा नहीं यार, लैपटॉप चलाते था तो बस सेफ्टी।
अरे वर्क फ्रॉम होम ने आदत डाल दी है क्या?
अल्ट्रावायलेट रेस।
हाँ, क्या?
सही है।
तेरा मुझे क्यों नहीं दिख रहा है?